Going? All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com's Dana Brief Party. YouTube, right? There you go. Josh will like that one. Oh, Josh has got a cool picture too. I like looking over on the hangout and seeing all the pretty faces. So, Josh was just about to say something, but he decided to refrain. Anyway, so we'll have our after party show, and if people want to chime in and say hi and stuff, feel free. Suppose there's first 30 minutes we have to be serious. This is TRI Newsroom, your update for what the hell the day is today. It is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023, marching our way through. Thank goodness we're finally on to this sort of the Benner cycle trough year. So, I mean, God, we had to sit there for the past year just picking our nose, doing absolutely nothing. It was so frustrating. Of course, had lots of fun with Sedona Euphoria memes and stuff at the top of the market. Then I had to sit there. We kind of lost our show co-host, Nick, kind of going, you know what, this is hard mode. I'm going to come back when it's in easy mode. So, Nick, where are you? We're coming back into easy mode. Get your butt back over here, please. I hope we haven't lost him. Also, too, I'm thinking lots about Derek. I think your Franklin Wireless looks pretty good here. In fact, actually, I even went and bought some of that communication services ETF, an idea from David O. Sort of our TRI SOF club sort of anchor. He's a great guy, fantastic person. Anyway, that was one of his ideas. Anyway, so the point here is I think, I think the easiest way to describe this market state right now is we are closer to the bottom than we are the top. Whew, it's about bloody time. And probably, I mentioned it in the public show. I don't know whether I want to go too into depth because this is supposed to be our little summary thing. And at sort of 9:40 here, I have to be done on the summary. But I am just FYI, and I think I mentioned this on the Broiler Chicken show, if I'm not mistaken. Also mentioned it. Question, of course, where's the screen? On the site, and actually I've had a bunch of people reach out and say they would like to try and help. I've said that I really would like to try and put a nice sort of public speak document together about the basically the bottom in the market that I think is coming in here, and like a real adult sort of publication as to why things are happening and when they're going to happen and all that kind of fun stuff. So I spent a lot of time last night going through and finding relevant Friedman quotes with regard to money supply, Mr. Greenspan comments about confiscation of wealth. And then, of course, we all on the site know the Money Masters videos and Secret of Oz and stuff. So if you really want to get to know the real banking system, how this, Fugazi works. And then, of course, lots of pretty pictures. And then I spent quite a bit of time going through a number of different commodities and sort of visually demonstrating what's going on here with regard to the dilution of the money supply. And the sad thing is, you think commodity prices spiked there a year or two ago. Ironically enough, no, they didn't. If you look at, the wheat market, this is a fascinating one to look at because, wheat is technically the world's largest industry. And, people got all up in arms about the recent spike in wheat prices, of course, because of what Vladdy's doing in Eastern Europe. And then, ironically enough, if you take the money dilution by these banksters out of the equation, wheat prices are still at like staggeringly low levels. So what does that mean? I mean, I often joke with you guys, you want a $100,000 Bitcoin, great. You're going to have a $100 loaf of bread. Well, you can see now, if prices just of a bushel of wheat, which goes into your bread, they just go back to sort of what we were doing before this whole sort of nonsense of this baby boomer generation Fugazi. sort of machine got going there with Junior Bush at the turn of the century there. I suppose it started with Clinton. You were going to have $100 loaf of bread. It's coming. And the interesting thing is we just started to get going there. And of course, everybody got all upset about what's going on in Eastern Europe, when in reality, I mean, we're nowhere near. Also, too, in this document, sort of layout, and this is a big concept that I teach the level oneers, is this idea that literally the banksters took over the system back here. And we've been living in the bankster world, where it's a ebb and flow of constantly diluting the money supply and coming up with one excuse after another to destroy the standard of living of all of us by sacrificing the purchasing power of our fiat currency systems. Hey, thank you very much, big brother. But also, too, if the banksters continue on their scam, and frankly speaking, I don't see why they wouldn't, what we should expect, and actually this was a piece that I was working on last night. You can even get this document if you go to the Twitter feed. I posted it while I was working away. I was actually quite proud of this because it's fascinating if you actually look at what's happened here, because the whole darn Fugazi actually started with 9/11. There's 9/11, and the funny thing is, this is a concept that we teach in our level 2 program. Gaps like to be filled, and gaps often actually represent pivot points in the marketplace. So it's fascinating that that gap is still sitting there on this adjusted S&P 500 chart. And literally the past 20 years, we have done absolutely nothing in this economy since that 9/11 event. I thought that was fascinating. Junior Bush and all his, here is the Iraq war. I found it fascinating that literally the stock market turned right back up literally the day that George Bush announced that he was going in and had plans to murder Saddam. And he did. So there is the Junior Bush top of the market, great financial crisis. And then sort of the recovery following that. And this is where all of our collective standard of livings have been absolutely destroyed. And of course, what came on the scene here? And you got guys like Da Vinci. I bought Bitcoin at $1, and look how stinking rich I am now. Woohoo! So fascinating how basically Bitcoin came on the scene right in here. And, if you are a classic investor, stocks, they've done basically nothing. Yeah. And, as Josh announced, right here, mysteriously, the U.S. Defense Department announced that they had accidentally lost like $2 trillion. It's like, you got to be kidding me. The coincidences are ridiculous. But anyway, so I'm working away on this document. I would like this to be, the interesting thing is, this is all talking about the past, but what about the future? What's fascinating is if you actually look at things like gold stocks in the 1980s, coming out of the last sort of, mini Great Reset, if you will, they did very, very well. And also, too, I've talked to the public lots about this, about the inflation that I think is coming down the pike here in 27, 28, that kind of thing. That would line up with that thesis nicely. And then, of course, how does Bitcoin fit into all this equation? What's the typical business cycle? And the irony of it all is that this is normal, but sadly, this is the way that the cycle actually works for most people that are in venture capital. It's not nice and polite. It's all over the map. So anyway, lots of work I'm doing on this document. I would like to publish it. I would like it to be sort of like industry standard kind of material. So putting a lot of time and effort into it. That's where my free time is going right now while I'm waiting the markets to sort of clean themselves up. As for the broader market, we've talked lots about this recently. Unfortunately, Brian and his crazy computer adventures. I had basically my computer crash horribly overnight because I don't really maintain it very well. And actually I bought a bunch of computer parts and all that, and I couldn't get a single one of them to work. So a bit frustrated right now. But I had that wonderful January barometer image. I'll have to try and get all that stuff back up and running for the days and weeks ahead. With regard to just sort of overview talk, what's going on in the world, what's the price action kind of idea? If we just simply take a quick boo at something like the S&P 500, we talked a little bit about how we have that leap options expiry. So we kind of thought there'd be some shenanigans around that. It's interesting how we do have a big Fed event coming up here on the 1st of February. Where the heck are we here? February, there we are. So that's coming up very shortly. And it's interesting if we actually, from this perspective, if we actually look at the market symmetry study, we should probably expect a bit of a punch in the nose following this Fed event coming up here. Also, too, we had talked a little bit about January barometer. And I might, if I'm lucky, I might have these on here. Let's see. Lucky. Am I lucky? No, not lucky. Oh, well. Let's see. How am I going to do this? You know what? I think probably the best thing to do is just a brand new chart. Where are we here? New layout. Where's new layout? There we are. So if we think about SPY, somebody asked on YouTube, why, Brian, do you look at these funny little numbers the way you have your charts? This is my response to that person was, this is twofold. Number one, I kind of like Mr. Tesla's thinking about the universe, and everything moves in three. So you notice that all of these numbers, especially if you do like Christine Lagarde shit, right, numerology, and you start reducing the numbers, they all reduce down to a base number of 3. So 9, of course, is square root of 3. 2 plus 7 is 9, square root of 3, squared. 8 plus 1 is 9, the same thing. 2, 4, 3, right? Same logic. So if you're wondering, also too, I kind of like to have a unique look at the market, something that nobody else sees, because sometimes in capitalism, you'll actually have price charts that are specifically painted, i.e., hey, just go and buy some, get the price up. Okay, now go and sell some. All right, get the price down. All right, now, go and buy some. Actually, big players will do that just to screw with the public, and, because they know everybody and their brother is looking at a 10-minute chart. So they can screw around with a 10-minute chart, especially on things like venture capital and stuff, just to get you to do stuff. So that's why I like looking at these charts, because I can guarantee you nobody else in the market is looking at these time frames. So, well, maybe Mr. Tesla, who knows? Okay, so back to our original point here. If we look at the SPY, this is the biggest ETF in the world, one of the original ones. We go back to, where are we here? January, where the hell is, whoops, okay, maybe that's further along. Yeah, here we are. All right, so end of January, something like that. Right in there. That first week, as we've sort of told you guys, was there's Friday, and then Monday is right there. So, not a bad showing for the first week. Very volatile, and then finished the week strong. I guess you could say that to a certain degree. It's probably what's going to happen for the broader market. In this case, if we take the full first month, this study will come to an end right in here, somewhere in that area. We do have big unknown Fed event here coming up the end of the month. So I'm not quite sure whether we actually get if anything, you kind of don't want the market to be really, really uppy into that Fed event, because it's always sort of buy the rumor, sell the news kind of idea. If anything, we would prefer the market to be soft into that Fed event, and then you can expect the market to rally nicely on the other side. But regardless, just simple January barometer reading as it goes right now, looks like 2023 is painting an up year, with, of course, lots of volatility along the way. So what we usually see happen, who knows if it does play out this way. The first week actually is a very typical sort of measure of what you usually expect. So, and this is something you can write down. Usually markets do one of two things. They either look like a big W through the year, where you get two troughs and one peak. That's very normal. And that would be sort of what the first week kind of suggested. And usually, if you think Wyckoff, his spring thesis, usually into the fall, there's some sort of panic that gets everybody all freaked out and they break the lows from the spring. And of course, crash scenarios, that kind of thing. And then into the end of the year, you have a big honking rally. So that's one scenario. And actually, me personally, that's sort of the scenario that I'm leaning towards. Then, of course, exact opposites. Some years you get markets that look like that, where we got a big run up into the beginning of the year, sell in May and walk away. Then the sort of trough in June, then counter trend rally into the fall, and then usually a dump into the end of the year on sort of anticipated further weakness. That would be sort of like what you saw happen last year, 2022. So as it stands, it sure looks to me like we're doing something along those lines so far. Now we'll see how it goes into the end of the month. Interestingly enough, the econs right now are kind of mixed. I wouldn't say that they're overly exciting. I wouldn't say they're overly depressing. The headlines, what are the talking heads on the financial stations and stuff? They're going to say things like U.S. private sector contracts for 7 straight months, right? So PMI, which of course the Purchasing Managers Index. You saw that the number came in here below 50, and a reading below 50 implies contraction. But at the same time, too, you notice that it's ticking up. It's higher than the previous prints, and it's actually even higher than what was forecasted. So yes, the economy is contracting, but is it on the mend kind of idea? If we get a reading above 50 here, of course, you're going to see that big double bottom come in, and away we go. I think this is really predicated on what energy prices do. If energy prices calm down and they seem to be stabilizing, then I think you're probably going to see the economies come roaring back. But you tell me, if we look at this energy market, and is this the time of year that we should be getting bullish or bearish of energy? Unfortunately, the seasonal trade goes, you buy unleaded the middle of February, which is coming up pretty darn close. So middle of February is going to be like sort of right in there. There's the middle of February. What letter of the alphabet do you see happening there? Uh-oh. So if anything, if there's going to be a pullback in the stock market, if those PMIs are going to have to take some time to really turn around in earnest, it probably means that this thing's going to pop up here, and then everybody's going to get all sort of depressed again. And I suppose now that this W is actually confirmed, we can do things like Feigenbaum's. So boom, chaos theory, 2.618. It kind of makes sense, right? All that is just, I don't know whether you can hear that or not, but it seems somebody's gotten to work renovating their condo here. Anyway, hopefully that's not too much of a distraction. So 2.618s are going to be nothing more than just a test of these highs, which takes us up into the mid 90s. And then really the question's going to be, is this some big honking head and shoulders? And we pull back and then we launch our way up into the spring. And this is what concerns me, good old 4.669s floating up top there. Then also too, we can draw just simple trend lines, and you can see in a weird sort of way, you can kind of see the propensity for this thing to work up here. It would make sense. I mean, technically that's logical. Then the final piece to the puzzle would be, what are good old fibs? And if we work our way back up, 38.2 is 50%. Good old mountain man sitting up there at $107. Oh my goodness. And, Brian's favorite fib sitting up there at 117. So, if the energy market does start to take off, and of course the trade is in unleaded gasoline, I don't even know what that looks like right now. We did do a commitments to traders report study last Friday on this, and it clearly showed that this market wanted higher. The commercials are getting short and the large institutions are getting long, and that tells me probably to expect higher prices. So interesting how you can even see there's a price gap, it looks like right up top here. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's a good old fib level. You can see 4669's up against these highs, 2.618's up against these highs. So you can kind of see that same sort of head and shoulders pattern that might be forming in here. So something like that. And then we find out whether this thing's really going to rock and roll here. So, that's the backdrop. And with this kind of scenario, not only the unleaded gasoline market, but also this crude oil market, that unfortunately is probably going to sort of keep the economy sort of muted in the short term. And if there was going to be a short-term pullback in things like the S&Ps and stuff, I actually think it's probably going to be related to this, because this is going to jack the inflation numbers up again. So there's your backdrop. Merry Christmas. We do have another big sort of what they call core PCE coming up next Friday. But I can understand why this sort of put the kibosh on rallies, and as I said, the headlines, the talking heads are going to say, well, we're still kind of sanguine here. Also, too, remember that over the weekend, we had Bitcoin jumped up there. I think Bitcoin works as a fantastic leading indicator. So we had the corn all sort of spike higher there late Friday, early Saturday, right? Yeah, there's Friday. And then we were kind of musing like, wow, that's a big jump. The interesting thing, of course, is that I think crypto is an excellent leading indicator. And then we had a big jump in the stock market right out of the gate first thing yesterday morning. Where's the best place to show you that? I guess we can just go back here. So if we look at like the futures, you see we had this big jump up yesterday. And I get the impression that this was sort of like playing catch up. The stock market needed to play catch up to crypto. Like I said, I think crypto is an excellent leading indicator. So we're a bit on pause right now. I guess even the harmonicans might be actually thinking about PRZs up in this area. It's kind of a sloppy looking chart, eh? Then, of course, like I said, we have a couple interesting developments here. Is that the fall pullback and then we rally into the end of the year? Could be. But we do have a big Fed meeting coming up here on the 1st, January 31st to February 1st. It's kind of a weird 2-day meeting. So my hunch is that whatever this push higher here is, probably doesn't exhaust itself until we actually get on the other side of that window. And once that's done, then I'd be very leery. We don't really have a technical breakdown here yet in crypto. And I think we showed you, if we just look at this chart and we do things like extensions. Oh, come on, you. I think we sort of got up into a topping area. So if we go extensions, remember we talked parking garage. So just coming out of that previous range. This happens to be BTC USD. It's not really that big of a deal. You can look at a number of these. Also, too, we had things like chaos. Well, there's 2.618. Actually, maybe that was a different one. I don't know if I'm looking at the right number. If anything, this kind of suggests we could work our way a bit higher here. I suppose we had little fog and bombs down here. There's a cute little W. Be interesting to see where that takes us. It's interesting how that banged up into there. I don't know. Unfortunately, like I said, I had my computer crash, so I lost all my charts from yesterday. Anyway, what I would just simply say is, it's not shocking that we're sort of consolidating here. What's interesting is we had some people on the site just simply say, well, Brian, I don't know what's going to happen here. I do think that there's a high propensity that the market wants to move higher. So what would sort of a move higher look like? And I just said, well, this is where we use this sort of bullish bot concept. I have no idea what's going to happen, right? All we can do as traders is just trade our setups. And I thought it was interesting when I mapped this out yesterday. This is basically like your lower time frame trade setup. Bot levels started to come in nicely here. So what a coincidence. I mean, you could make the argument that this is a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, something along those lines. I mean, I'm just quickly freehanding this stuff. Come on, you get up there. Anyway, something like that, right? Is that where we are? Jeez. Hey, did Sjord join us today? He is here. Does he have a microphone? Hey, Sjord, are you around? Say hi.
Yes, I am.
Hey, there he is. You feel like doing a report today?
Yeah. I'll let
Okay,
you finish
cool.
your report.
So we'll wind up this market summary report here in a moment. What time is it? 9:31. Yeah, so I have till about another 5 minutes or so. Then we'll head on over to the DB after party and get our CTO's report on what the heck's going on the site and a whole bunch of fun developments we got in the hopper. Anyway, so the question just ultimately here to just sort of summarize, of course, a lot of this community is crypto oriented, so we do quite a bit of crypto. I don't really mind the idea if somebody said, I got one low, I got two lows, I got three lows, maybe I got four lows now. Clearly the market's fighting at this 25 level. I don't really have a problem taking this trade. I'm going to risk a break of these lows, and my profit objective is going to be up here at 25 and change. And so that is what this trade is. So you can see it's slightly underwater right now. I even said yesterday, I was like, well, let's just go throw the order in at the 25 level. Now let's just see what the hell happens. So there is the upside objective. It's about 25.3. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. Just following the chalk marks. I will say we do run an algo trading, at least I'm running an algo trading program. That's what this program is. And right now, and keep in mind, there's just so many different ways to skin this cat. It's just really a question of you building your plan and then just following your plan. So from an algo trading perspective, the algo is not really very happy right now. So you can see everything's actually negative, and crypto broke down a week or so ago. That's when I got out of that last position, and actually it's kind of so I'll say from a algo perspective, and it's interesting too to notice that we don't have any more sixes right now. So you notice that over the past maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks or so, maybe the past month, we actually had a bunch of sixes up here. There were some very, very strong looking markets, and man, there were a lot of people banging out doubles on the TRI sites. Quite remarkable. The breadth itself, the internals rolled over there a few days ago now. And so like I showed you off of that trading plan, the algos trading plan hopped off. But, this is a trader's life. You don't know. And especially if you're trading lower time frames, somebody had asked me, well, Brian, I'm interested in trading lower time frames. What do these setups look like when they're just sort of, just coming to the office? And like I said, I would not have a problem if you had taken this long and you just have your stop here and live with the results. As it is right now, market's slightly underwater. And the algo itself would say, man, you know what? I'm just going to cool my jets and just let's see how the dust settles here. So very mixed message in the market. That's probably the number one message that I see right now. Very mixed message. This consolidation could very easily turn into another leg higher, or we could double top breakdown. And at that case, if that would bust that bot setup, and I could even justify people being short that double top breakdown. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Other than that, let's see. We talked a little bit of econs. Didn't really see a lot in the news that was really going to drive price, other than, and this is more sort of sociological, so anyway, whatever the word is. I think, especially the chaos of West Coast North America, this whole woke sort of society, and how there's really no leadership in the West Coast. Unfortunately, I think we're going to see a lot more of this just overt violence. And if anything, this is a good testament to what happens to societies when you let the inflation genie out of the bottle. And if anything, this is coming back to Mr. Friedman. If you really want to understand how money works and how societies work, the absolute worst thing possible is to let politicians just have a blank check and just do whatever the hell they want. They, keep in mind, government doesn't actually do anything in our society. So, people that actually are asking for government to lead the economy, that's dangerous. That's just got trouble written all over it. The economy has to just guide itself. And that's the whole process of supply meeting demand. So we have this world where, of course, is it intentional? We won't go down that rabbit hole today. But clearly, the people in power have completely diluted the purchasing power of the currency, which of course has led to price inflation. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of the hallmark of our societies now for probably the next 5-10 years. It's going to take a while to get in front of this. And if we use the historical comparison, unfortunately, and we refer to 1940s, which I think is a pretty good historical comparison, we still got lots more of this inflation crap ahead of us, which sucks. Anyway, so the point there is with regard to the news, unfortunately, you're going to, the whole thesis of that document that I'm putting together there is that we are moving into this K-shaped economy. Where if you drive down any major street, there is going to literally be a whole civilization living inside every one of these major cities that's just living in tents. It's kind of sad, really, the way the K-shaped economy is building itself out. There's going to be a lot of people very, very angry about this. And of course, they're going to be pointing fingers. And unfortunately, this often goes down the racial sort of path. So unfortunately, I think we're going to have to see more of this, not less. And the worst part about all this is that this doesn't really affect the market, doesn't really affect the economy. It's just really tragic that people have to lose their lives over this. So anyway, that's sort of the news that I saw today. And I wouldn't be surprised if this K-shaped economy just continues to build out the way it has, which is a bit sad. All right. Interesting. Actually, Sjord's going to be on the call here this afternoon. One of his ideas recently was a competitor to Ticketmaster. So if anything, maybe we might get an update on that story from him, as Ticketmaster now, of course, is under the political spotlight. And all the Taylor Swift fans are all outside the U.S. Capitol, all bitching and complaining. So there you go. Other than that, I think that's probably it for the summary for today. Today is Tuesday, so we will have our TRI Secret Options Formula Club meeting tonight. Zach is actually, I put a call out yesterday asking, can people please find me a half decent spread idea in things like, where the hell should I do this? In things like Intel. I would even say, David was super excited about the communications. What the hell's the symbol? Thought it was EWC. Fudge. Communications, XLC. I guess that's it. Yeah. So, Brian likes his W's. What a big surprise. So the chart should speak for itself. That's a very, very bullish looking chart. So of course went and bought some. It'd be interesting tonight. Maybe we'll take a look at spreads there, see what we got there. And I'm really interested in stocks like Intel here. This thing's just on the cusp of breaking out. Zach found a couple spread ideas that I might chew on here with the group here tonight. So we're seeing a lot of this kind of price action across the board in tech. Tech, of course, has gotten beat up pretty hard. So these are the kind of names that I'm most interested in. Of course, this is the time of year, buy when it snows, sell when it goes. So, there are a lot of little crypto names that just look absolutely beautiful here. I was touting you guys yesterday, this one. And as you can see, it kind of popped a little bit. What a pretty looking chart, eh? So we were all excited yesterday at, I think it was like 40, 41, somewhere in there. So we popped all the way up to 48. Nice. That looks good. So I ain't got nothing to complain about. And these names are coming down the pike. It's just really a question of, are you ready, willing, and able to pull the trigger and get long these names as we move higher? It's not going to be a straight line. And if anything, what I don't want you to do is chase. For heaven's sakes, do not chase. But on balance, I think this is the time of year to build your shopping list, get shopping. When the names do fire the double bottom breakouts and then you're down at the bottom end of ranges, well, you got to have the gumption to get in there and pull the trigger. So, well, there you go. All right, that's the summary here for today. PMA for the win. I'm sure there's probably topics that I was supposed to talk about that I should have, and there's probably stuff I should have talked about that I shouldn't have. I don't know. Josh says more names to be shared in the after party. I don't see why not. We could probably take like I said, we've got Mr. The Decentral himself on the call here today. So if there was going to be anybody that's going to tell us a good crypto story or two to take a good look at, I think it's going to be Stuart. So I'm actually super stoked for that. All right, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. We'll see you all again tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed that little summary. Maybe not one of my better offerings, but unfortunately, like I said, I had my computer crash overnight and I'm just sort of piecing things together here for you for the show today. All right, have yourselves a great day. All the best. We'll see everybody for the after party. And the only thing left for me to say is bye for now.